conversation, first taking our quote from Barry Schwartz, who once said, "People who work in financial services don't have one shred of concern about the well-being of the people they serve. They're only interested in themselves." Oops, shots fired. Okay, I'll take my last quote, and this one is from Scott Cook, who once said that the changing nature of money is only one facet of the financial services revolution. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabel Orji. Tonight, we'll turn our attention to bank recapitalization. The customer and the bankers would help. We're trying to help our viewers understand what bank recapitalization is all about, what it means, and how it affects the customers. And also, we'll talk about other things with regards to financial matters. We'll talk about the dollar exchange, plus more. I've got two guests on the show today, and my first guest is Habib Gajo, who is a Bureau of the Change operator, and he is a political economist. Welcome, Habib Gajo.
Good evening, Annabel.
Welcome. Good evening, Habib Gajo. All right, my next guest is Abimbola Ajinibi, and he is an investment expert. Great to have you.
Yeah.
Like I always call Mr. Beams.
Good evening, Annabel. It's nice being on your show.
Yes, likewise. Okay, so let me start from you, Mr. Beams. Let's talk about bank recapitalization. A lot of people do not understand what it means. And for some persons, it's all that happened before now when we talked about the 25 billion naira recapitalization, and now you have something else. That's all they know. So they don't understand what it means. So help us break it down into bits and pieces so that for even that layman who does not understand anything but has money in his account will understand what bank recapitalization is and how it will affect him when it starts.
All right. Thank you, Annabel. So when talking about bank recapitalization, as for bank customers, it's really nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Because the ultimate goal is to protect their interest. And then looking at the macroeconomy, essentially is to strengthen the economy. So when you talk about bank recapitalization, so essentially is to beef up the structure of the shareholding, that is to increase the stake of the shareholders in terms of the bank's capital. So essentially that's what we call capital adequacy ratio, which talked about what the amount of shareholding in the bank relative to what we call risk asset. So what that simply says is that the bank business is to lend, isn't it? So you now look at it that what money are the bank lending to customers? Is it from customer A to customer? Is it that the bank is taking deposit and lending it, or they are using the shareholders' fund?
Okay.
So essentially, what the CBN is trying to do is to increase the shareholding, which means that it's done in such a way that the bank has enough money to do business and not necessarily the customer's money. Okay. So we see a recapitalization. The first experience we had was in 2004, when Professor Soludo was the governor of the CBN. As at then, the minimum capital of the bank was 2 billion. And then Professor Soludo was so bold to move it by about 1,000% from 2 billion to 25 billion. We all thought it wasn't possible. But hey, we saw that happening. And as I mentioned, the advantage of that is just to strengthen the system and to ensure that we do not experience banks going under. Now, I think the recent recapitalization is coming from what we are seeing in terms of our economy, in terms of, let's say that our currency has been devalued. And what 25 billion was in 2004, you will agree with me that that is no longer what we have today. And therefore, there is a need to have a recapitalization. And that is why we are having, you look at the different different licenses and different structure of banks, and we are seeing a recapitalization moving. Recapitalization of, I think the maximum is about 1,000% from 20 billion and from 50 billion to 500 billion, and those are commercial bank with international license. So I think recapitalization is just to protect the interests of the depositor and also strengthen the economy, because that the federal government is targeting by 2030, the federal government is targeting about $1 trillion economy. So, and for us to be able to achieve this, it means that the banks has to be strong enough to take on large transactions, to be able to finance huge transactions, and then to also be able to attract foreign investors. So it's actually it's a decision.
So it's not a reason for any customer to
Customer has nothing to worry about. As a matter of fact, customers should be happy, because if we're able to achieve this, at least in the medium and long term, it shows that customers' deposit will be safe.
Oh, okay. So you've said quite a number of things that we can draw strings out from, but I'll ask you two questions first before we go ahead. And I'd like you to unbundle them in one breath, because I hear you say that during the time of Professor Chukwuma Soludo, he took that bold step. So now, is this also taking the bold step? Because I hear most people say, yes, when you just open your transfer app, you just see a plethora of banks. In fact, some of them you'll be wondering, what kind of name is this one? And then most people will say, this is just a way of throwing some of them out of the window. Is that what it is?
Well, in a way, I wouldn't say that the whole idea of recapitalization is to throw banks, is to throw them away. But when the CBN governor, when this circular was issued sometime in March, he said it categorically, there are two ways for this recapitalization to be achieved. One is the raise of capital. So when I talked about raise of capital, by way of, we mentioned while we were having conversation earlier, by way of right issue, meaning that the shareholders, give them the right, to increase their shareholding, or by way of public offer, which we are experiencing at the moment. Some banks are actually in the market as we speak, trying to raise capital, and then we have, for some banks that are not quoted, they could achieve this by way of private placement, meaning that they can approach individual high net worth or come and invest and all that. So that's one. Two.
So before you go ahead, does that now make whoever they decide, the private individual, now make them the lord and all, like he who plays the piper to take the tune? So
the owner of the banks, they will come up with whatever structure that suits them. For instance, if owners of the bank, if they have enough money to raise that capital, one, they may not bother going to the capital market, and they may not bother going the way of public offer. They may not throw it to the public. They can raise the fund amongst themselves.
So that's what I'm asking. So if now one person now decides, because I remember during that first time you talked about, you had the telecom boss who decided to throw in some monies, and then it was now like, I think he's now the owner of those banks that he threw his money into. Is that what it's going to look like now?
Well, there are rules, and this process is being monitored and regulated by Securities and Exchange Commission.
Okay.
So they will ensure that owners don't take advantage of this to to play the system. So the regulators will definitely take care of this. So I don't see that happening anyway.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. That was the first one.
So that was the first one. So the second one is the one you mentioned. Banks that obviously they may not be able to muscle that. For instance, for some of the international banks who are currently at about 50 billion, and you're asking them to raise their capital to about 500 billion, which is about 1,000% increase. So for some who may not be able to do that, they might be looking at the option of merger. But that may likely happen with the tier 3 banks. Those are for the regional ones who are not so very strong. In my view, what we may likely see merger and acquisition taking place.
Oh, yeah. More of mergers.
Exactly. So for what I see, for the international commercial banks, they are likely to sail through.
Oh.
Because I don't know whatever structure they are adopting, but I see option of some of them attracting foreign investors.
Okay.
Since they have their location all over, they might be attracting foreign investors, and then some go public offer, just like we have at the moment. You and I know that some banks are already in the market trying to raise capital, and because they have that window of 24 months, so I see them looking at different structure. It could be PO, it could be a combination of PO, foreign investors, and the right issue.
Okay, so it means that those customers who have who put their monies in banks that like have their branches in both, whether it be national or international, don't worry, your money is safe, right?
They have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
You are aware of the recent merger?
Yes, we'll talk about that one later. We'll definitely talk about that. Let me come to you, Habib Gajo. I'm sure you must have listened to all that he stated. As a customer, as a businessman, do you see bank recapitalization in any way affecting your business or your finances?
Well, in every reform, more especially financial or banking reform, it always goes these ways. You understand? The banks have done their own capitalization. The insurance companies have done their own capitalization before. You understand? And we, the Bureau de Change, also did our capitalization. I think we have done more than 3 times. Banks did 1, insurance did 1, but we have done 3 times capitalization. We started from 20 million to 10 million to 35 million to 100 million. A Bureau de Change, and 4,100 and something Bureau de Change were scrapped. You understand? Were banned. Now we have only 1,050 something Bureau de Change that is operating. Sincerely speaking, I agree with Abimbola to some extent. Is trying to put the things together.
PR for his.
No, he's doing the cosmetic for the government, to help the government.
Okay. Tell us how.
We have reached a level that there is nothing we will hide. We have to say the truth. Our market has gone down. Our GDP is below 250 billion. Abi? Below 250 billion.
The GDP, I don't have that. But we have we have a projection of growth of 3%.
Well, it's another plus. You understand? So when your market is not moving, when you are not making headlines or headway in your own business, definitely you will panic. You start looking here, looking there, how to see how you are going to do, This is what the government is trying to do. You understand? You ask banks to capitalize for 20, how many months?
24 months.
24 months. You ask Bureau de Change to do capitalization of 500 billion. You understand? Now, we agree. Before you say Jack Robinson, you jack interest rate. Everything is going up. You understand? Liquidity ratio, like he mentioned, and so on. Nothing to show up. If you compared during Soludo time and this time, let me take the APC government from 2015 to now 2024. You understand? Soludo, within short period of time, he reformed the economy, the sectors, you understand, and block leakages and so on before he now said, okay, let's capitalize these banks. You understand? There were so many banks, like you mentioned, some will merge, like he mentioned, some will merge. Then there was like Hallmark Bank, Liberty Bank, and so on. All of them merged together. Some, you understand? Some sell up and join the other big international banks. You understand? Now, what we are facing in our own economy, when Soludo did that capitalization, how much was dollar? Is 109, and you sell 112 naira. You understand?
Okay.
After you remove charges and everything, 112 naira. 112 naira today, if you calculate that 500 billion naira divided by
over
that
1,000 of today.
It's a huge money that will take care of the whole economy. It will settle everything.
So what has one got to do with the other?
Because of the devaluation. When you devalue your money, we are here. We have said this several times. You remove subsidy and you devalue naira. So look at the gap. How much is crude? How much is your currency? You understand? From $70 per barrel to 660 to 700 per dollar. So if you look at this gap, you will know that it will take Nigerian economy like they project to 2030. You understand? they are trying to get to $1 trillion dollar reserve.
2030 is less than 6 years.
It will take Nigeria 2060 or 70 before we get that $1 trillion reserve.
Are you saying that we will not achieve it in 2030? The next 6 years?
If this policies continues.
What policies?
These bad policies, the somersaulting policies, the policies that don't have human face, doesn't have good face, the policies that are angry.
Which of them are you referring to? The fuel subsidy or the...
All of them. The fuel subsidy affect all of them. The devaluation of naira affect all of them. The insecurity affect all of them. The judicial injustice affect. Abimbola is here. We can ask Abimbola, which investor will come and invest in a country that has no justice system? Nobody will come. You understand? If you are devaluing your currency, you are destroying your economy, you are increasing high rate because you want foreign investors to come, whether foreign direct investment, whether foreign portfolio, whatever you call them, nobody will come, because if they see your money, they do 419. Where are you going to? Police and court. Can you get your money? We are all here in Nigeria. Secondly, no investor that will invest in a country or in an economy that change policies in every quarter, 3 months, or in every quarter the policy somersault. It can't work. We have to stabilize. They have to stabilize the economy first.
So are you saying that the bank recapitalization, especially for you as a businessman, is a no-brainer?
Even for the ordinary Nigerians, it's no-brainer. Let me tell you, the only thing that they want to, like you rightly mentioned, you understand, the microeconomy aspect of it that's their own interest, not the interest of the market, not the interest of the business, not the interest of Nigerian wealth. That's the truth about it. You have to. Okay. I think, like what Dangote said, I'm 64 years. I don't have anything. I don't. You understand? We can't lie to the government. We have to tell them the truth. Those policies are bad. They have no human face. You understand? they have no human face. If you look at the way MPC are doing, you wonder which country are we? If you look at the fiscal policy, look at the federal government, what they are doing, it's not going anywhere. You remove tax and so on. Even the banks that they are capitalizing now, they are trying to capitalize them. How did the bank getting their own money? No bank will invest their money in a market that has no security or
but they've been there over time.
The banks,
and they're still making their profits. If not, they would have found themselves out. After all, multinationals that decided to leave.
The multinational
so
has
the
left.
kitchen is too hot. You just leave.
The kitchen is hot now. That is why the thing is coming up. You understand? The banks are just cheating us, taking our duty. What did they call it?
That's why the
government
is trying to
do.
That's why they're now trying to. So you say the banks are cheating you.
What I'm saying, the banks are cheating Nigerians. You understand? Now that their capitalization has gone, you understand? So they will face the music. They too will go to the market. So you understand? When they go to the market, they will face the reality of the market. You understand? It's just
so it means that the banks now will turn to market women. They're coming to the market now.
Definitely. Very soon you will start seeing them going to shop by shop, plaza by plaza, company by company, trying to sell shares and so on and so forth. You understand?
It's no longer like that means it will no longer be like those days when there are some banks that if you don't have XYZ amount of money, that's the big boys bank. There's no longer big boys bank here.
There is no longer big boys bank.
Oh wow.
That means the government is doing something, right?
You understand? Because the main fabric of the bank has been the banking institution has been destroyed. You understand?
All right.
In a sense that even the banks now don't have a control of even their customers or the network they are servicing people.
Let me bring the question to you. Let me bring the question because of all that he stated. Kindly first, 2 questions and I'd like you to unbundle them in one breath. Kindly react to all that he stated. He accused the banks, he accused you all of sabotaging, especially the customers, and trying to be PR for the government. That's one on the side. We'd like you to react to it. And then secondly, as an investment banker, I hear him talk about the fact that they are trying to woo customers, investors rather. What is it like for you when you're trying to talk to an investor, a potential investor, and with all that is happening, and with all that he stated, the policies, they said policy somersault and all, and then you see what is happening, insecurity, the naira to the dollar, the inflation gone records high and all. What does it look like for you then, comparing then and now, when you're trying to woo an investor and tell him, okay, please come and invest, when all they want to see is the fundamentals, the indices, and not stories?
Oh, thank you. I'm not holding brief for the government. To start with, when you mentioned inflation and you talked about high interest rates, it's not a silver bullet, but all over the world, when interest rate goes up, when inflation goes up, so naturally, the target is inflation will wipe away people's investments and people's savings. So in that instance, what do? You increase rate. And the margin between inflation and interest rate should be very thin. So if inflation is doing 33%, you don't expect interest rate to be at a single digit or at about 10%.
Okay.
What that simply means is that retirement fund, savings, investment will be wiped away by inflation. So typically what a regulator would do, or what monetary policy will react to, is to increase interest rate. And you agree with me that in the US at the moment, because inflation had gone down, FedEx, they've cut the Fed rate as well, because that's the typical reaction. So talking about inflation, what is driving inflation in Nigeria at the moment? Food, that's the core inflation rate. We have food inflation, we have
headline,
but if you check, food is the highest, and the reason for this could be food security and a whole lot of issues. And then we also, on my way to the studio, I heard what traders are doing in the market, what middlemen are doing in the market. Food comes from the farmer, from the market, at a particular rate, at a very low price. And then what do we see? Middlemen, they will jack up the rate. Who do we blame for that? Well, anyway, I mean, that's just by the way. Now, talking about the bank recapitalization, he said that the banks are cheating people. So the government is now trying to ensure that the structure is put in place.
The sanity
is put in place. You all see what the banks declared as profit half year. Who are those making this money? The banks. And we complain that the economy is not doing well, and the banks are making so much money at the expense of who? And then you see the common deduction. The business. If you go to a bank now, they will tell you that they will not give you loan
because they don't have the facility again.
So where are they making their profit from? Risk assets
from us.
Thank you.
You understand?
So what the government is trying to do is the government is trying to strengthen, the share or the share capital that the bank should trade. The bank should have adequate money to do business with, and not depositors fund. So basically, that is it.
And when you talk about depositors fund, you're also talking about when we heard that story about using pensioners' money and dormant accounts. Is that it?
That's a different angle.
That's a different.
Is when I deposit 10 million naira, you understand?
They use your money
to give loan. To give loan. And also charge you,
of course,
interest and COT and so on and so forth.
So when you mentioned,
you understand?
When you mention this interest thing, when you mention the high interest, it's meant to be to your advantage. Okay, let me give you a scenario. You have gone to bank, you deposit 10 million. If it is a current account, you get nothing. And of course, banks will encourage you to put it in your current account. But if you are savvy enough, investment savvy enough, to demand for interest, and they tell you, oh, market is difficult, this and that, and they give you maybe 10% on that, and the bank goes to lend to another person at 20%.
You deposit 10 million, and they give you 10% of your 10 million.
And they now lend it to another person at 20%.
Not in Nigeria. My brother, not in Nigeria.
What's the interest on loan?
Okay, I'm talking about saving, not loan. Sorry.
No, sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about saving.
So what
when you save your money, you save nothing.
So what bank does essentially is deposit and loan.
Yes.
So when you take money to the bank, recall we are talking of savings, not investment. When you take money to the bank for savings or deposit, let's just put it deposit, and you get interest of 10%. Okay? And because loan, we call it risk asset in the bank. Because it's a risk asset, the bank bears the risk that if anything happens to the money, they are the one that will pay. So
and they don't pay, they call it bad loans. They call it bad loans.
But you as a depositor, you get back your money.
It's AMCON that will recover your money.
No, that is what the government is now trying to do by beefing up the shareholders cap. It's not depositor, minimum shareholding. That's what that means. Minimum capital base.
But then because I hear you say that if you are investment savvy, you can actually talk them to increase your investment.
Right.
I've seen situations where, yes, you talk them to increase your investment. They tell you it's 5%, and you tell them, okay, I don't want 5%. I want over 5%. They tell you, yes, okay, we would increase your investment. And then after 1 month, if you're checking, you find out that first 3 months, they increase it. But later on, when you remove your eyes, they decide to do whatever they want to do with it. At what point do you now begin to scream? Or is there a problem? Or who do you complain to?
That is why I say a country that doesn't have a judicial system, where are you running to?
No,
where are you going to cry for?
No. We have a lot of, because most of us don't know our right, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Banks are regulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Right.
And when there are issues, report to CBN.
Okay, so are you saying that thank God Habib Gajo is a big man. Leave Habib Gajo. Let's say the woman selling pepper, she's able to save up to 300,000 for her children, and then they decide to change her like that. Should she go and report to the CBN? Is there an open office and the CBN will listen to her?
Oh yes, they have a complaint. We have seen that happening, and the CBN respond. And for people, for different people, as an investment banker, is my potential client. So for a market woman, you look at your cash flow and you look at your cash flow. For a market woman, she needs to be doing a turnover, to be trading, you know. So there are money she will need to put in a savings account or current account, because she will need that money tomorrow. She may need that money next week. But there are money like what she set aside, you know, that one should not be in a savings account where she earns peanuts.
Yeah, right.
So for that one, you know, we have different structure of market in Nigeria, which maybe most people don't know. So for somebody like that, for money you don't need for your day-to-day activity, you go to capital market or investment, asset management investment companies, where you can do mutual funds, you can buy treasury bills. Treasury bills 90 days, 365 days. And as at today, TB for 365 days is doing an average of about 20%. So if you have money you are keeping for your retirement, or you are saving aside, or you are planning for your future, you put it in a long term, like not even long term, like 365-day treasury bills.
Is it different from fixed deposit?
It's different from fixed deposit.
Okay.
So fixed deposit is still in the bank, it's still a savings in the bank.
So just leave the bank and just look for capital markets.
Look for capital markets.
Ah, awesome.
Yeah. So that's why you have option of money market, capital market, real estate, and maybe very soon we'll have our commodity market. It's very active. So I'm not holding brief for the government. So I believe these are...
You will not hold brief for the government, because
I believe these are activities that reform that.
Had it been the government is consulting with the expert like you people, you understand, we know that we are safe. But in a situation whereby somebody will sit somewhere and decide on how Nigerian economy will be run, and at the end of the day, they will ditch the country and the people of the country, I think is not the
Let me
way
react
to go.
to what you also said about, if you recall in 2004, if you assess where we are today in terms of banking community or our banking business to where we were in 2004, you will see that we have actually made a very good progress. That wouldn't wouldn't have been possible if Professor Soludo had not taken that put. We all felt that.
Thank God for that recapitalization at the time.
Yes.
You see, the boldness is not a boldness of the strength. You understand? It's the boldness of intelligence. You understand? And thinking. He sat down and looked at where is the problem is. Where can we reform these banks or our financial institution and financial banks? You understand? It must start from somewhere, and it will end up somewhere. You understand?
Yeah.
The physical policy started with privatization of telecommunications, you understand, and so on and so forth. Most of their liabilities, they sold it, you understand, gathered the money, the leakages all over the government, you understand, the federal government closed all the leakages. And now, with the transformation of the telecommunication, that gave the banks access to computerize. From computerization, you understand? It takes time to you understand? It's only an intellectual will think that way. You understand? It's a long-term plan, but like he said, it's a bold step. You understand? He was never discouraged. I remember when all the bankers are accusing him of buying banks, this and that and that. You understand? Even the Northerners were saying that all our banks have gone. We don't have any bank again.
I was in a bank then, and we were all worried.
Yes.
In 2004, that this was going to lead to job loss.
Yes.
Loss of job. But we are thankful for what it did.
Is it going to lead to the same now?
Now. So I don't see, and the truth is,
you see, the issue is when Saludo left, Sunusi Lamido continues with the reform. You understand?
So you need continuation here.
Yes, you need continuation and you need stability. When your currency or your market is stable, you understand, the indices are not going too bad, and they are always good and medium. You understand? You for a year or like for 2 to 3 quarters, you have a stable market.
All right.
You understand? Then you are going somewhere. Then from there, you put another step. But in a situation whereby you are going down and you help yourself to go down or to nosedive, it's just like a plane that lost control and the pilot said, let's go down. And you understand, definitely it's nosedive. So the Nigerian economy has nosedive to the ground. We have nothing to hold again.
All right.
But what I see happening is that for tier 1 banks, you will not see them complaining. For tier 1 banks, 500 billion
is nothing
to them.
All right.
They will achieve that 500 billion in 24 months. For tier 2, some of them will likely do private placement. They may do public offer. I don't know what will happen. For tier 3, we may likely see merger and acquisition in tier 3.
All right. We need to go on a break, gentlemen.
Even in tier 1, we have seen Tony Elumelu cry. Continue.
Habib Gajo wants to start shaking tables. Let's go on a quick break. And when we return, maybe the table would have been scattered. And then we need to take it to Panteka. I'll see you later.
People scammed and they were able to recover it. A lot of people don't report.
Abimbola,
when you report, they track that account.
Me, I stopped putting my money in the bank. I keep it under my table or under my bed.
And the risk is now higher.
Exactly.
It's higher.
So he's amongst your banks you're talking about.
We are bringing you back.
So I'm safe. Whatever I want to use my money, I will use my money. If you want to take my money, you have to take my life.
So that's why.
You see me smiling from chain to chain, it means that the conversation is quite interesting. So if you missed the first part, oh yeah, you missed quite a lot. But then let's get our concluding thoughts as we're talking about the banks and their customers. We're looking at the recapitalization, how it affects you, I, and every depositor in Nigeria. My guest on the show today, I've got 2 guests, and my first guest is Habib Gajo, who is a bureau de change operator, and I have Abimbola Ajinibi, an investment banker. All right, before we went on that break, let me leave Habib Gajo. I'll come back to that part where he was trying to break one table. In fact, he broke the leg of one table, and we're thinking of how we'll take it to Panteka, but we'll allow him finish on that thought. But let me return back to you. I asked the question with regards to investment. What is it like trying to woo investors when they're looking at fundamentals, the indices, but they're not seeing it, but you are trying to use words of mouth to tease them. Is it working for you?
So this time it's a crucial moment for the banking community, especially the commercial banks, who are mostly affected by this recapitalization, thing, especially the tier one, those that will be moving from 50 billion to 500 billion. That's a lot. That's about 1,000%. So it's a very critical moment, and communication is very, very key at this time.
Right.
And the behavior or reaction.
Communication from the CBN or from the banks or from
communication from the bank.
Okay.
To the investing public.
Okay.
It's very crucial at this moment. One, you must be able to demonstrate being socially responsible. Yeah. And then you must be able to also, in the process of communicating to your investor, you must be able to show your previous performance, not just economic performance, not just performance in terms of profit.
Okay.
You look at your performance in terms of how responsible are you environmentally,
social responsibility,
then socially, how have you been? Triple bottom line is the hinting. So you must be able to demonstrate efficiency in all the three lines: the profit, the people, and then the planet.
Okay.
And then you must show what your ROI has been to your investor in the past. In the past, maybe in the past 5 years.
Okay.
What is your average return on investment, and what is your reputation in the market? People want to see this, and then technology is very key these days. And then because of the rate of fraud, people are very, very careful.
Right.
So they want to know what's your data protection, how compliant are you, in terms of protecting your customer, your customer's investment, your customer's fund, which is we see a lot of stories in the media, people losing their money, people hacking. So the customer needs that assurances. And then investors will also want.
Can they ever get that assurance? Because every time you go to Twitter, you see people dragging different banks and saying, "Oh, my monies were gone, and up until now, I can't even lay my hands on even small out of it."
Yeah, it's surprising considering the fact that we are moving on our data management. We have NIM, we have BVN.
Right.
So when money leaves an account, it goes to another account.
Right.
So who holds that?
The next account.
That account, the fraud account. Who holds that account? It shouldn't be difficult. So if we have NIM and we have BVN, and these are data, these are biometrics and all that. So it shouldn't be difficult. I heard about 2 days ago that NIPS has mandated banks to transfer their customers' account wallet to NIPS database.
Okay.
Because they realize that there are still some bank accounts without NIM or without BVN. So we need to have all these things completed.
We don't need all this. These data, they're just wasting. They're dragging the economy back.
No, we need data. Everywhere in the world you go,
see that NIM BVN was done just for selfish interest, not for the benefit of this Nigerians. You understand?
What do you mean by it was done for selfish interest?
It was done by selfish interest. You are suspecting somebody stole some money somewhere. It's a suspect. You investigate him. You understand? But you force all Nigerians to go and do that. And you cannot protect his name. He cannot protect his BVN. His money is being stolen. You cannot protect his money. And his money is gone. And you complain. And you said we are going to investigate. What is investigation? You need to protect. If you protect it, you don't need to go to investigation. You understand? People are being there is scammers all in the banks. Even the bank officials are also scammers. Banks officers are also scammers. Some will call you, they will tell you your data. Your name is Habib, your date of birth is so, your this was so. They will tell you everything. You understand? They'll tell you everything about you.
And how would they be able to scam you?
You understand?
That means it takes two to tango, right?
If you don't divulge
you understand? So people who are not educated, you understand? Don't give. It's only one digit they will ask you. And whether you are confused, whether you knowingly or unknowingly, you give that one digit, and that's the end of it. You understand? Because you can't believe somebody, like you said, a market woman or a market a farmer in the farm. Somebody call him from the bank and said, "I'm your account number, your name is so. He give you all your data. You understand? And say we want to do something in your account or upgrade your account, or all this kind of scam languages that people don't understand, and you convincingly gave it to him.
That's where we need education.
You understand? So what the banks need is to secure those data. You understand? When you secure it, your customers will not lose money. You understand? And Nigerians will not lose their own hard-earned money or their own investment. This is the issue.
What you mentioned, it's not just Nigeria. Do you know what the Indians? I'm sorry mentioning. But if you know what
other
countries, they call you, they give you all the information. You know, but the truth is that when they take that money, it's possible for you to get it back when you go to your bank. And I think that's what needs. I read that just 2 days ago when they are saying, make sure that you have. I've seen money being recovered. People scammed and they were able to recover it. A lot of people don't report.
Abimbola,
when you report, they track that account.
Me, I stopped putting my money in the bank. I keep it under my table or under my bed.
And the risk is now higher.
Exactly.
It's higher.
So he's among your banks we're talking about.
We are bringing you back.
So I'm safe. Whatever I want to use my money, I will use my money. If you want to take my money, you have to take my life.
But seriously, so that's why I said that. You know, we have different structures of banking. Now, use an average POS person on the street. They is running a banking too. You know, that is this financial inclusion thing we are talking about. But for those ones cannot lend it. But for the big one, that's why the regulator are trying to, you know, make sure they do the right. They are making, if you check their financials, they are making so much billions. And you just mentioned now, customers, they take your money, go and lend it to someone, and they make so much profit. So what the government is now trying to
somebody from somewhere in UBA is already crying. Yeah, I don't want to mention his name.
So what government is trying to do now is that this recapitalization thing is to ensure that we do not witness bank failure. The bank has gone under.
Okay.
Very soon we will hear another the bank that start with Z, they call it. We'll start hearing from them. You understand?
So no bank will go under.
I'm not saying they will go down. You understand? But they will cry. You understand?
Yes, because there is likely to be dilution.
Yes.
What is dilution?
So dilution is that you alone, you have say about 10% or 5% shareholding at capital base of 50 billion. And the government is saying that beef it up to 500 billion. And you are looking at it that, where do I have money to do this? So as the 5% owner, by the time you go to the market to raise, so you have different people coming. So now you have a lot of shareholders. So you may not, I'm not saying you will not, you may not have that size of shareholding relative to the others by the time you have that 500 billion.
Okay. Before I lose my thoughts, I was going to talk about I was not going to, I didn't want it to mention the names, but since the central bank has already mentioned their names and is everywhere, the merger and acquisition between Unity Bank and Heritage Bank, and then some other persons are still complaining from Heritage Bank. Oh, sorry, I mean Providus Bank and a Unity Bank merger. And then some other persons are still complaining that they've not gotten their money up to until now from Heritage Bank, even though I'm saying that they paid at least people who has below 5 million. And so is there any possibility of those people getting back their money? I mean, those from Heritage Bank, and then the merger or acquisition between Unity Bank and Providus Bank. Should these customers be worried about anything at all? Because I remember someone calling me and say, oh, please, I have money in Unity Bank. I'm hearing that there's a merger between them. Should I be worried? But I then remember that there was a merger between Access Bank and Diamond Bank, but they've not gone down. So kindly help us react to this.
Well, my initial reaction is that the Unity Bank and Polaris Bank, Providus, yes, they have nothing to worry about. And that merger is a fallout of this recapitalization thing. As I mentioned to you, for most tier 3 banks, we may likely see merger, M&As, you know, because essentially they may not be able to raise that amount. So rather than sweating it out, why not just come together? Okay. And that's what they have done. So by coming together, and they also got like a lifeline from the CBN to put them in the right footing. And with that, I don't see them going on, and I think
okay, so their customers are safe.
Customers should have nothing to worry about. You could see they are very proactive.
Where the problem is, like she rightly mentioned, the Heritage Bank is the same regulator that announced the how do they put it, sir?
The liquidation.
The liquidation of the bank. So
let me explain that.
You understand?
So for
you allowed the bank to go and shop somewhere, and like the way Access and Diamond, like Unity and other banks, you understand? Like Inland Bank and Habib, Inland Bank and some banks that make FCMB, you understand? Just like that, you understand? But you just announce it to the whole world, and the customers are panic, and the next thing they say the insurance company, the next week they say no, we are giving is it 10,000 or how much according to your at the end of the day they now went and want to do the right thing. You know, whether that bank was politically witch hunt or
I want to disagree with that.
Or they have something under the carpet. But very soon it will come out.
Okay, for me to react to that.
Okay.
So if you are quite familiar with the banking system, for Heritage Bank, the science has been there for a long time.
All right, just round off for your thoughts.
The science has been there for
maybe
a long time.
Signs were there for you people that are inside the bank, not for customers.
Even for customers. Let me tell you this about precisely April last year. I got a call from a customer, and he said he had something about Heritage, and she said she's not really comfortable, that I should advise. And I said, okay, why would you keep that kind of amount of money in savings when you can invest? Why not invest? I didn't want to say that, but I advised that person to go invest. When I said invest in mutual fund, in CPs, in real investment, not in bank. And the person did that. But I knew way back that. So when a bank, CBN doesn't just come on a bank and clamp on a bank. They try to manage it. But when no investor, you look at it before you buy something. You look at it, you do the valuation. Is it okay for you to buy? And when it's not good, you will not buy it. Why? Unity Bank and Providus, they look at their books, and they were all okay to combine their business, and that's why they merged.
Providus is not Sky Bank. Former Skybank.
No, Polaris.
Polaris. Okay, Polaris.
So it's a different.
You see, the reason why I said there is something under the carpet, this Heritage Bank is an first generation bank after a second generation bank in Nigeria. It started from Society General. You remember?
They went through marginal.
I know. They went through margin, but because of the political nature or political undertone of that bank, you understand, the bank was right from, I think, Obasanjo time up to Buhari time. They now won their case in court.
All right.
And they now change it to Heritage Bank. And now the owners of the bank and the government, who are managing the government, are now in a loggerhead.
Alaji, would you have invested in Heritage? Be honest, would you have invested?
No, I won't, because I know there is a political
because you know
fight.
Right.
I know the two helpers are fighting.
All right, we need to round off on this conversation.
But honestly, what we are going to tell the government, though Abimbola said he cannot, but me, I will say it. You understand? I will say it clearly. You understand? What the government need to do, the federal government led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is to look the economy and reform it. You understand? Put all leakages, cut the spendings of the government. You understand? Or the excesses of the government. You understand? Then invest, localize your business. Nigeria has a standing market all over Africa. You understand? We have a very good market. So localize it. Let everybody be a player. Let all stakeholders come to the same level. Leave microeconomy now. You don't have a technology. You don't have the finances to fly microeconomy. You understand?
Right.
Let us operate in our own. Now, Abimbola is here. Manufacturer Association pull out from the CBN from M. You are aware. you understand?
We need to go out and disbursement.
The inflation rate and the lending rate, if you put them together, is a mismanagement of government. So manufacturers, small scale and medium enterprises, nobody will participate in the market again. So where the banks will get the money to capitalize 500 billion? This is where the issues is. You understand? Even the banks will do it. They will not do it.
All right. I would have loved to just draw the curtain, but I won't let that go. You have something to say in just one word.
Yes. So what I want to say is that to talk about manufacture, there are a lot of intervention funds that you have POI, you have funds in POI, and these are single digit.
All right.
These are single digit funds for manufacturing, for hospitality, for hospitals, medical.
So people can lash in on those.
He's no longer interested in
9%.
All right.
These are single digits.
But they're not.
I think we need to do a part 2 of this conversation. It looks like it's still.
No, you add time for the program.
Okay.
Next time
we'll add more time to it. Thank you so much, Habib Gajo, the change operator and political economist, and thank you so much, Abimbola Ajinibi, investment banker. It is always a pleasure having these discussions with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, that's where we draw the curtain for today. We've been chatting with Abimbola Ajinibi, who is an investment banker, and Habib Gajo, who is a BDC expert. And it's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. I've been cracked up and I've learned. I'm sure you must have been rightly educated, entertained, and informed. That's what we do here on The Conversation. So see you next time. My name is Annabel Orji. Good evening. God bless you and yours. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.